You're part of the ocean. I would agree with that, actually.
You're wet when you get out of the water, but not underwater. You're not wet.
What's the definition of wet? Covered with water.
Yes.
You can't be more covered with water than being under the water.
That is.
But it cancels out because you're not covered in air right now.
Just another question here on the sidebar. It says specifically, is water wet? And it says water is both wet and not wet at the same time. Confused? Let's break it down. Okay, we're going to let the show go a little longer because we're going to get to the bottom of this. It's saying since it's the thing that makes things wet, so water itself cannot be wet. If you're under the water, you're still fucking wet. But water can't become wet.
Not until you get out of water.
The point that you become wet is the immediate point that air touches you.
I would say yes.
Why?
Because you're part of the ocean.
I'm not a scientist.
Because you're part of the ocean like the rest of the water.
Thank you, Trevor.
No, it's just you're covered with water. So you come out of the water. I'm wet.
Yes.
To dry off, should I go back in the water?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of, the world, in relation to what you're in, you would be dry.
Being wet is not relative to something else. It's not.
I think in this case it is.
I think it is.
To be wet, you have to be covered in water. Water being covered in water is still just water.
It's wet water.
It's like if you have a glass of lemonade, Luke.
Do you understand how crazy that sounds? That wet water.
Yes.
That's why you're not wet when you're underwater.
Luke, no. No, I don't.
Yes. So that's my point, though. Like, if you're underwater, water is also underwater.
No. Water is not. What do you mean? It's not.
The water is just a huge fucking thing?
The water is still the water. It's not under itself. It's just water.
I think there's water underwater.
Have you ever taken a glass of water and then you added more water to it? It's not the water went on top of the water. It's just all water there. It's a liquid. That's what liquids do.
How do underwater lakes exist then?
Is water wet? It depends on whether you ask a scientist or an English teacher. Well, I'm not asking an English teacher science questions.
This is turned into a philosophy question.
It's like asking a journalist about football. Like, they don't know football.
If we ever try to sell this podcast, this should be the clip we use.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Boy, I don't know if my internet's working right now. But hello, and what an intro, huh? I get stressed just listening to it. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. No, you're not. Like, there's no shot. For listeners, we rehashed the water situation, for lack of a better way to phrase it, I suppose. So definitely go to the Flurry Sports YouTube channel to check that out. There's a longer version, like 16 minutes. I think we talk about it in the Is Water Wet video. Worth a watch if you hate yourself or if you want to be entertained for a little bit, I suppose. I respect your stance, Luke. I don't truly get it. You're not.
How can I not be?
He is right.
You're not. It's unbelievable that it's impressive that you are so like firm in your stance.
Because I'm right.
No, you're not. Really quick rehash. Luke thinks if you're underwater, you're not wet, and I'm the correct one on the other side of it. Somehow, it's pretty incredible.
2v1. Numbers never lie.
Boy, they do. Stats play for everybody's team.
Not in this case.
I mean, we can go back to it. You said if I go back into the water, I could dry off. That makes no sense.
In the grand scheme of things, yes.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. Okay, well, Welcome to the Wednesday night ranking show, I suppose.
Welcome.
This is the way I assume you want to spend your Wednesday night before the fantasy football playoffs. And believe it or not, we are here to help you. We are not just here to solve age-old philosophical questions. We're here to go over the fantasy football rankings over on Flurry Sports, and they are obviously on Fantasy Pros. They are half PPR scoring because that's what Fantasy Pros grades us on. And then we will compare them to the industry consensus to see where I am higher and lower than the rest of the industry, essentially. I was saying to Luke just really quick before we started going that this feels like the worst week one of the fantasy football playoffs I've ever had. I mean, we've got Justin Herbert out, obviously, rest of the year. My rankings still currently have Keenan Allen in there. News broke today that he is not going to be playing Thursday. So what a shit show of a Thursday night football game. We should be allowed to just change it like this late. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I mean, what else is new?
It does. This is bad though.
Yeah.
Like we got two teams that neither have head coaches, neither have a quarterback, neither have a running back, really, to be frank. And then one has the greatest, probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. They don't use him. The other's one of the better wide receivers in the NFL isn't even there. It's just a shit show. It's
that's if Devontae plays. I mean, he probably will, but he's coming back from an illness, so
he'll play. I mean, he should put up 200 yards, but he won't. Theoretically, he's going to be open every fucking play. Every play. It's so annoying. Okay, well, let's get into quarterbacks to start. We don't really know who's starting for the Raiders, so I will preface that. Not that you're starting a Raiders quarterback, but later when we talk about the receivers and stuff, I think it does impact that. But my number one quarterback for the week is Jalen Hurts at Seattle. I think he bounces back. I have Josh Allen at 2 versus the Cowboys, Lamar Jackson 3 at the Jags, Dak Prescott 4 at the Bills, and Brock Purdy 5 at the Cardinals. Luke, anybody stand out there?
I mean, it's kind of odd. I bet, starting at the beginning of the year, you wouldn't have had Brock Purdy in your top 5 for like fantasy playoffs. But I mean, he's a guy now, right? He's a legit fantasy guy that you can ride. If you made the playoffs, you're starting Brock Purdy. You don't even think anything of it. He's probably the leading candidate for MVP right now. So like if I don't have Brock Purdy anywhere, if I have him, it's a huge start for me. So I'm with it with Brock Purdy.
I like Prescott at 4. I think he should win the MVP, as much as it hurts me to say it right now. He's been a very good quarterback. In my opinion, this year he's taken steps forward, either that or everybody's taking a step back, which is also possible. But he's playing a Bills defense that in years past would give me a little bit of pause. But I mean, this is not that defense. They're not that good. They almost lost to a Kansas City offense who, do they have anybody outside of Kelsey who's probably hurt? I mean, Rashee Rice has been all right, but I mean, that team keeps shooting themselves in the foot. So he should have no problem moving the ball against this Buffalo team, even though it's in Buffalo.
Yeah, this is an important week for Dak. Just because it is in Buffalo, it's outside, it's away from home. The Bills, for whatever you want to say, I think they're not. I mean, we started the year and I said I didn't think they were a Super Bowl contender. I didn't think they were very good. They've gotten worse because of their defensive injuries, obviously. They're still not a bad team. They're still one of the better teams in the NFL. And defensively, they got playmakers. They'll be okay. But it's a team that if Dak isn't sharp, like if they get confidence early on, they're gonna get after Dak. So very important game. Obviously, Cowboys, the whole narrative is they can't play away from home. So they have a chance to shut that up a little bit this week. Brock Purdy, truthfully, yeah. I mean, you can say he's good or just a system quarterback. I don't have a strong opinion either way, but he gets into the playmakers' hands and the playmakers are wide open all of the time. So, I mean, whatever. He plays the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off a bye. Maybe they have a trick up their sleeve. Probably not. Jalen Hurts really hasn't been that great. So we'll see. I'm just taking a shot because Seattle's bad on defense. They're not any good. And the same thing with the Jaguars. Lamar was number 1, I think, overall last week, but the Jaguars defense is embarrassingly bad. I don't know. They just sit in zone.
Yep.
They don't even try. So
if that pass rush doesn't get there, nothing's happening for that Jags defense.
They don't even blitz. Like, right. They just have like their front 4 guys. And if Josh Allen gets there, great. If Josh Allen doesn't get there, then it's just a zone. And if Zay Flowers and Odell are going to have to find the soft spot in the zone, like they'll do that all day. It's super easy. St. Louis, what's up? Welcome back. 16-team PPR, lost Keenan Allen. Should I go with Zay Jones or Elijah Moore? I kind of like both of them as sleepers this week. I know I'm higher on both in the consensus, but
I like
how
Zay
high? I have Zay Jones at 49 and Elijah Moore at 50. So they're back to back. I'm willing to go Elijah Moore. I'm willing to. I like what Joe Flacco's doing. I'm willing to go there.
Flacco's got the boys buzzing. I'm going Elijah Moore too.
He does. He's getting a lot of targets too, for whatever it's worth. And then go Bills, Cowboys, or Atlanta DST. I like the Falcons defense. I've been picking them up a lot this week.
I mean, I don't think you go wrong either way here, to be honest.
Fair. I don't know. We'll see. This feels like, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, it feels like this is a 200-yard Stephon Diggs game. Like against Dallas, against a team that, his brother plays for. Brother's not playing, obviously. Dallas has been so good all year.
Al Harris,
I don't know. He should. Al Harris should get a DC job somewhere.
Green Bay.
Fine. Some people are saying he's going to get head coaching interviews, which I think is insane.
Probably insane.
I'm down for it though. I love Al Harris.
More power to Al. He's awesome.
For sure. Okay, so other notable quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure I'm higher than Sam Howell. We'll talk about him in a little bit, I'm sure. But I have him at 8. I have Trevor Lawrence at 12. Don't feel great about it, but he's there. Yeah. Jake Browning at 13. Browning's 13, Flacco's 14. I kind of like both of them. I think if you had Justin Herbert or something, I think you're okay going with either player.
Yeah, I agree. Browning, I started him his first start. What was that, 2 weeks ago? Monday Night Football, whenever that was. And I got a big win to basically lock up the playoffs for me. Like, Browning's looked good this year. He plays a bad Minnesota defense. Bengals still are kind of, they're in the hunt here as much as people don't want to say that they are. I don't think they get away from the pass. I don't think they, roll over and die. Like, Bengals are fighting for a playoff spot here. I think passing the ball is certainly a possibility, especially with Jamar Chase saying he's 100% to go this week. And, feels like it might be a little, and probably talk about the receivers, but it might be a little, who can score more points? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, kind of friendly rivalry kind of thing. So I would imagine Jamar Chase gets going early. Joe Mixon's been running the ball well lately, and that's only helped Jake Browning. So I'm with Jake Browning.
Well, and I've heard some people calling him the white Jalen Hurts with his rushing ability. Some people, not many. But he's been decent. I mean, he has played, to be fair, Jacksonville and Indianapolis. So, it's not like he's playing San Francisco out there. But, I mean, I think he's a guy where, especially for me, and I did this in Dynasty, if you're in a Dynasty league and you are maybe one quarterback due to an injury or whatever, and he's still on the waiver wire, I think pick him up as a safety valve just in case some shit goes down with the way the season's been going. Because, he's not a top 10 quarterback, I don't think, any week, but he's extremely capable of, helping a team just stay even keel, and hopefully your star players help you win the matchup.
I think that Vikings-Bengals matchup is going to be super interesting just because, both teams essentially run the same exact offense.
Yeah.
So, they come from that McVay tree. They run the same schemes and stuff like that. So theoretically, both defenses should be, well prepared to stop whatever the offense has to throw at them. So, it wouldn't surprise me if this turns into a sneaky low-scoring game. We'll see what the weather in Cincinnati is going to be. But overall, both offenses, I think, are pretty good. Both defenses are struggling. Vikings are good against the run, but that doesn't really matter. Browning should be able to throw all over them. I see a question. We'll get to that in a sec. Just going to say Kyler Murray, I think you can sit. I don't think you need to be afraid of doing that against the 49ers. Hasn't really played the 49ers well the past few years. Hasn't played them in 2 years, but he hasn't really played them well in his recent matchups. CJ Stroud still hasn't practiced yet with the concussion. Even when he does practice, like I'm not really going to be going with him this week. And Geno Smith is a player who's trending up the rankings for me. I currently have him at 20, but don't be surprised if I convince myself to put him in like the top 16, 14 players this week. I like that matchup against Philadelphia. I think their secondary sucks.
Agreed, as we saw last week.
Past few weeks.
Yep.
Okay. What's up, Big Daddy?
Big Daddy Weirdo, what up?
Falcons or Chiefs DST. I have had this exact scenario. I went with the Falcons.
We take the Falcons here.
Same.
And then Trey or Hawkinson, and Elliott or Monty. So Ezekiel Elliott or Montgomery, Hawkinson or who's Trey?
McBride.
Trey McBride.
McBride. Good God. Hawkinson and
Montgomery.
Yeah.
Yep.
Patriots play who this week though?
Kansas City.
Chiefs. I'd go Elliott personally, but
yeah. I assume Ramondre Stevenson's out.
if Stevenson is out, obviously, yeah. I was surprised how much they used him in the passing game.
That's been all year. I don't know why, but they've been using him a lot in the passing game. I think it's a coin flip. I do think actually I may lean towards Elliott. Maybe I'll look at my rankings here in a sec, though.
You guys like him over Montgomery? I mean, Denver's been horrible against the run this year.
Yeah. I just don't trust the Lions to be playing with the lead right now.
That's fair.
They've been, I don't know, man. Like, we know Sean Payton and that Broncos defense, they're just going to bring pressure because that's clearly the way to stop the Lions.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a secret anymore.
Well, on top of that, it's not even a guarantee anymore that Montgomery gets 1-yard touchdowns. Like, some of them they're giving to Gibbs. I still think he gets the massive workload in goal to go, but Gibbs seems to be vulturing a few more of those than you'd like.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue right now is the Lions' offensive line. Like, they're good, especially on the interior. They got Penei Sewell at one of the tackles. The other tackle's been getting eaten up. It's like when they get down the red zone, they're not getting a good enough push. So they can't just bring Montgomery in and be one-dimensional. If they have Gibbs in there, they at least have a threat of a pass. So teams can't just bring the house on them. So I think they're transitioning to that right now with the team struggling on offense. If they start running the ball really well again, then I think it's just going to be Montgomery, doing his thing like we saw earlier in the year. But right now they can't be predictable because if they're predictable, they're clearly just not good enough. And Stu says Jaden Reed to GOAT. He's good. I really, really wish he would touch the ball going north and south a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's great. Jet sweep, GOAT. Whether we're running it to a short side or a long side, we're going to give it to him again and again and again. Paul Chris special.
Hell yeah.
Except for Paul Chris ones always work. Quarterbacks compared to the consensus, I'm 3 higher on Sam Howell at 8. I like him a lot this week. I think Washington's going to be passing a lot. I'm 4 higher on Jake Browning at 13 and 6 higher on Joe Flacco at 14. The disgrace that people have him at 20. I don't get it. I am 3 lower on Jared Goff at 16, 5 lower on Tua at 17 against the Jets, and 3 lower on Kyler Murray at 18. Any of them stand out?
I mean, as much as people don't want to say it, like Sam Howell's been awesome this year. I think he's got more fantasy points than Patrick Mahomes. Probably more like a ton of stud quarterbacks. I think Washington can play a little. I know they've had like such a shitty season, and Ron Rivera's probably gone next year. I think this is a game that Rivera can kind of give like a last fuck you and then kind of really hurt the Rams' playoff chances here. And I don't see why he wouldn't take that. I think they pass often. And Sam Howell is rushing it down at the goal line has been awesome too. He had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, last week, something like that. So I'm with Sam Howell. Like they're going to be behind in this game. If they're not, I don't think that Brian Robinson is a huge threat to steal points from Sam Howell this week. So I'm with you, Zach. I'm in on Howell.
We'll do our consistency rankings obviously in the offseason. Sam Howell's been a top 10 quarterback 8 of his last 9 games.
Yeah.
Like people are going to be surprised to see him as one of the most consistent quarterbacks in fantasy. And we've been talking about him a lot, obviously. So just don't be surprised when people are talking him up as like a mid-tier quarterback option next year.
Mm-hmm.
We will be talking about him next year the same way we talked about Jared Goff this year.
Agreed.
Anybody stand out to you, Trevor?
Not really, but just to kind of hammer home the point for how there's been a lot made about how often he's getting sacked, and that's fair in regards to NFL, but fantasy, that doesn't really matter unless you fumble the ball. And it seems like a lot more is being made of the sacks, even in fantasy, than his actual production, which is very interesting to say the least.
It's also awesome for me, at least, just because the side of the argument I've been on, that he's been a top 10 quarterback consistently, and Terry McLaurin is still irrelevant.
Fair.
It's awesome. I mean, the number one wide receiver there is Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, it is.
Probably by a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
It's insane. What's up, Swift and Stoof? Not his fault. I'm guessing we're talking about Reed. And you're right.
Swift, we need some production out of DeAndre Swift here. I've been riding him too long now to not get production.
Let's talk about him right now. I remember when I was ranking him, I was thinking I liked him this week. Apparently that didn't translate into a super high ranking. I have him at 19. But again, against Seattle, Philly the last 2 weeks has been trailing. So if they're at least winning, I think he's going to do pretty well.
Well, the thing too about Philly is they haven't been able to run the ball the last 2 weeks.
No. I mean, they've been stopped when they've tried, and then they just haven't had the opportunity to do it much. I'm not sure if you guys listen to Daniel Tosh's new podcast at all, which is awesome. Definitely should. He said basically like the Eagles should say fuck you and run the tush push every play.
That's what I've been saying. You get 3 yards every single time. 3 yards every time on offense, you're going to win the football game.
Yeah, like if it's so good, run it every play.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's so unstoppable, if I have to listen to how Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds every time he does it, then let's run it every play.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good, Swift.
We just need you to get in the end zone.
It's playoff time. This is when it really matters.
True. Let's talk about the top 5 here, though. I have Christian McCaffrey 1 at Cardinals, easiest rank. Kyren Williams I have as my number 2 versus Washington. I have Rashad White, number 3 at the Packers. Saquon 4 at the Saints, whose run defense has been really bad lately. Yeah. And I have Alvin Kamara 5 versus the Giants. Trevor, any of those guys stand out?
Rashad White, because he plays the Packers. I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know. I think they've given up, 4 games of 200 yards rushing this season. That's not saying Rashad White's going to get 200 yards on the ground, but Tampa Bay, if they want to run the ball, they definitely can. Mike Evans should be able to get his too, so it's not like they're a one-dimensional team. And as you've said, Zach, and we've been talking about for a while, Baker Mayfield is not a bad quarterback when you can get him doing what you need him to do. And they almost beat Atlanta last week. I know Atlanta doesn't have a good offense, but their defense has been flying, and he almost beat that defense. So this is a scary game for the Packers. Rashad White should be able to run the ball, and his pass catching should be able to put him over the edge. I'd bet on him to score a touchdown this week no matter what.
Yeah, Trevor, you're right. Rashad White's been awesome. Since week 7 or whatever it was, he had 7 weeks without a touchdown, and then got in the end zone and just immediately turned it on since. So I'm with it. Zach, I wanted to talk about Saquon Barkley. I was wondering where you're gonna rank him. I don't hate 4. I would maybe in my mind, he's a top 3 guy to me. Saquon's still a stud. We saw that last week. I think there's at least some questions this year about Saquon, and I think that just has to do with the Giants' offense as a whole. With Tommy DeVito kind of settling in here and being that guy, Saquon's only been reaping benefits from it, especially like you said against a bad Saints run defense. I love Saquon this week.
Yeah, Saints. I don't know why. They for years have just been so good against the run. The past few weeks have just been terrible.
Like, what the fuck does Dennis Allen bring to the table if it's not a run defense?
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, though, I mean, they're just smarter defensively than the Packers, so it's probably not going to be same thing. But, yeah, last 3 weeks, the Saints have given up 5.2 yards per carry. The league worst has been the Packers over the past 3 weeks, 5.5 yards per carry. For the season, Packers ranked 28th in yards per carry allowed. So, yeah, Rashad White, a person who's had 20-plus carries in 4 of his past 6 games. Like, that's the biggest thing with him is he's a bell cow.
Yep.
And that's the one thing. Like, I liked him. I had zero faith he would be a bell cow.
I don't think anybody did.
No, I'm very surprised. And I'm still kind of doubting it, but it's working. He's involved in the receiving game, like you said, Trevor. 2+ catches every week this year, actually. So, I mean, hey,
yeah,
he's a stud. Absolute stud. Another stud, and I'm pretty confident I'm higher, just based on what I've heard some people say this week. I mean, it's Derrick Henry week, right?
Yeah. I mean, he had 2 last week.
We get the Texans 2 out of the next 3 weeks. I don't care who's the new Texans players. I don't care who the Texans coach is. This is Derrick Henry week. Buckle up.
It's like Brady versus the Jets. You know, it's just lock him in for 20 points.
T.Y. Hilton against the Texans too. Like it's fine. 150. Mark it down.
Bears. It's a player who beats teams, and that's Derrick Henry. In December, you get Houston twice in the fantasy playoffs. Derrick Henry is going to win someone a championship.
Has to.
Derrick Henry is the reason I'm so glad his owner is on the other side of the bracket, and I play him next week when he does not play Houston if we both win. He's a game record. He does this shit every year. I don't know why it surprises us. I know this year has been a little more down than the past, but I mean, this is just what Derrick Henry does. And I mean, if Stroud is out, I mean, I think he's probably going to play, but I mean, if he is out, I mean, even more so, the Texans have no chance in stopping this run game.
Vrabel's been trying to get too cute this year.
They haven't been able to do jack shit. Like they haven't been. Their offensive line, I don't think it's not getting talked because the Titans aren't getting talked about at all.
Right.
But it's might be the worst offensive line in the league. It's embarrassing.
I agree. I brought it up before, and I'm still pissed about it when they fucking threw the ball to Jeffrey Simons on 1st and 1 from the 1. You have goddamn Derrick Henry.
I know. And his first rushing touchdown was him at quarterback, too.
Right.
Like, fine. If that's what you need to do, fine. But, like, run that every play. But he's gotten 17 or more carries each the last 3 weeks. Last week, incredibly inefficient because literally nowhere to run. 17 carries, 34 yards. Horrendous. Saved by the 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns each of the last 3 weeks. Just putting that season-long prop on his back and carrying me to fucking.
Shout out Derrick Henry, man.
Okay, so Swift has Fields rushing for more yards than Pacheco. Am I crazy? Not crazy.
Fields has Cleveland. Pacheco has New England. I mean, that's something I'm not going to bet on just for how good both those defenses are, but no, it's not crazy at all.
Not at all. Stoof, Tajay Spears, and Chase Brown next year. Maybe. I believe in Brown more than Spears, I think.
Yeah, certainly.
Henry, especially if Stroud is out, Trevor knows. Trevor knows.
Trevor knows.
Okay. He knows, I guess. Other running backs here. I have Joe Mixon at 14. If you are playing on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Flurry, or if you're just betting, I think put whatever amount of money you want on Joe Mixon to just go over his receiving prop every week.
Yeah, probably.
They're just dumping it down to him over and over. So it is what it is. It's free money. 8 Chain I have at 18. Zach Moss I have at 17, and I'm done. I'm done with Zach Moss.
Say that.
He's dead to me.
No,
I want to put him lower. He got my hopes up one last time. He rose from the dead. Like, guess what, Zach? Fantasy playoffs are here, and we're going to fucking ball. And he's been so bad.
Let him finish the season.
No. I agree with you, Zach. I lost Jonathan Taylor in Dynasty and said, that's okay, boys. Zach Moss season is here, and it is still not here, and it probably will not show up this year. He's been pitiful. I mean, it's bad.
I don't love the matchup against the Steelers either, candidly, but man, just do something. Do anything. There was a week this year he caught 6 passes. Throw him the ball. Do that. I don't get it. Right now it's just the Michael Pittman Jr. show, and I don't want to watch him. That's boring. He sucks. Where's Jelani Woods? No one's asking about him. Where is he? He was supposed to be back 3 months ago. This fucking Colts team. And I'm not going to lie. I'm bitter because I think it was week 2. I said something about the Colts. I was being a dick. Surprise. And then someone on Twitter, like a weirdly massive account, like a couple million followers, no idea who the guy is. Some philanthropist said something like, Colts are going to go off this year. And I'm like, Colts? And I like laughed at them. And they're going they're so good.
Mm-hmm. They're sniffing the playoffs.
I think they're in as of now.
Yeah.
And who's going to pass them? I mean, I don't know.
Steelers will get in.
I mean, Steelers are in technically right now.
Yeah. They're guaranteed a spot.
Boy, have they punted their chances the last 2 weeks, though. Arizona, New England, and you play like that? Come on, guys.
I know Flacco said he's coming back to the Browns, but the Steelers should offer him $5 million per game to just come and play.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't turn that down. Like that's the move that you got to do. Have to. Don't like Tajay or just expect Henry back. I don't dislike Spears. I think Henry's back though.
Yeah, Spears is a good player. I just don't like him because I have a lot of Derrick Henry stock.
Pick 4. Half PPR, Diggs, Ayuk, Waddle, Puka, Flowers. I think I'm sitting Waddle.
Yep, Diggs, Ayuk, Puka, Flowers. That's immediately came to my mind too.
Same, Trevor?
Yeah, I just want to know what your record is if those are your receivers. I mean, clearly you're in the playoffs, but damn.
Colts could technically still win the division.
Mm-hmm.
They've looked like the better team lately.
Mm-hmm.
Jaguars are a joke.
Frauds.
They are.
Yep,
they are. In the power rankings, I said they're just the AFC's Detroit Lions, like they're the same team.
Yep.
Except, and this is a take that I never thought I'd make, I think Jared Goff's the better of the 2 quarterbacks.
Right now, yeah, I agree.
I've never been a Trevor Lawrence guy, but people are still crowning him. Like, okay, Jaguars, they got stuff to figure out, but at least they got Trevor Lawrence as their franchise quarterback. And I don't know why we're not at least questioning it.
No, they're treating Trevor Lawrence like he's a 10-year starter already. Like, the guy still needs to improve.
Well, and on top of that, how much different is the discourse right now if the Jaguars don't complete that crazy comeback because of Brandon Staley and the Chargers? Like, I feel like people are still like, they won a playoff game last year. They should have gotten killed that game. And if they got killed that game, there are some serious questions being asked right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we talked about it on the Flurry Sports podcast a lot. There will be criticism of Trevor Lawrence once he gets that second contract.
Yeah.
Like, that's when people can start to criticize players. But I see through it. I see Trevor Lawrence. I almost just said Trevor.
Zach, I agree. I'm a Trevor Lawrence guy. I agree with you.
Like, he's not bad.
Right.
He's just in the middle. And that team with the really good receivers, 8-6, 2 quarterback league. So, I mean, at least you got your receivers figured out.
At least you're in the playoffs.
True. And they're healthy. You don't got Keenan Allen, who is out this week for people who have not seen yet. And that doesn't mean I'm crowning Quentin Johnston as someone to play.
He's not very good.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Right.
Who would have thought, right?
It's insane. Everyone now is like, it feels like they watched our draft videos and are just reading the transcript.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he could actually separate very much. Did you know at TCU he actually didn't separate in college very much? That's kind of a red flag, huh? Yeah,
well,
no shit.
He played in the Big 12, guys. Come on.
He can't separate, and he doesn't win jump balls.
No, he's a big receiver, doesn't play big.
Right.
Yeah. I think he's got the tools to be good. I don't think he's got the coaching there, and he's certainly raw right now. Not a fan. I think Josh Jacobs possibly misses tomorrow. I think there's a good chance of that. I talked about this on Monday. And still people are like completely not talking about Zamir White.
Right.
And like Zamir White's for sure the RB1 with Josh Jacobs out. And it's not a situation like last year. Like last year, he got 0 touches completely, basically. He's gotten 0 touches to start the year, but we got to remember he worked the entire training camp, the entire preseason as the RB1 when Josh Jacobs was out. So there's the familiarity, there's the trust, there's everything in the starting offense here. So I think Zamir White could actually step in and run the ball pretty damn well against the Chargers.
I mean, he did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I think he's going to be good. And then Bitatani, a lot of bad luck playing the highest point getter weekly. Seems like 2 quarterbacks are Tua and Purdy. Also had Herbert. Running backs are Mixon, Javonte, A-Chain. Yeah, I mean, good team.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, not much you can do.
Could probably go on a tear now.
So here,
sure.
I'm going to ask a question for him. I assume it's pick 4. So I'm assuming one of those receivers is flex. Would you start any of those running backs in the flex over any of those receivers?
No, because I'm starting Mixon and Javonte. I just really don't want to start people against the Jets.
Yeah, fair.
It's so good. And Stoof's holding on to Johnson in his 2-team hot potato league, which just sounds like a hell of a league. Monster team, Herbert Hurts. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. If you could have had Herbert this week instead of Tua in there, that would have been insane. Just got to survive this week. Other running backs. Anyone you guys want to talk about before we look at the consensus?
I don't think so. I think there's probably weekly, but like you don't need to. I don't think you need to start Packer running backs right now. That offensive line can't run block worth shit right now. Other than that, like, do you guys like have any strong thoughts about what about like a Breece Hall this week against a Miami defense who kind of suffocated Derrick Henry? But I would imagine like Breece Hall was so involved in the pass game last week, Miami's going to be coming on the rush to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson seems to have found a little home in Breece Hall here.
Yeah, if Zach Wilson's willing to just take the first read, the open guy right away, then Breece Hall's going to be good. It's just earlier in the year he refused to do that.
Yeah.
So as long as he just takes the 5 yards every time, then he's going to be good. Breece Hall limited with an ankle injury in practice. I don't think that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. I have him at 13, so I like him. I just don't necessarily believe he can score a touchdown.
Agreed.
That's where I'm at.
Agreed.
And then, I think Aaron Jones plays this week, by the way. For those who don't know, we'll talk about it in Lombardi sweep after this. I think Aaron Jones is a go. I think Christian Watson is not, for whatever that's worth.
Similar feelings on my side.
So, consensus, I am 5 higher on Derrick Henry at 7. I'm currently 14 higher on Zamir White at 34, and he will be much higher after the news. I'm 7 lower on Zach Moss at 17. Fuck him. I'm 5 lower on Deontay Foreman at 42. 4 lower on Kareem Hunt at 45. And a couple others that
good to see
starting.
Good to see Kareem Hunt in the end zone.
Yeah. He's been playing pretty well all year, I think.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It's just that Browns team, we'll see what they look like now. There's more injuries to that offensive line now.
The defense too.
Yeah, because Delpit's out. Some people are saying it, but like they probably were the most cursed by injuries this year.
Like they have a whole starting lineup that's been hurt this year.
Yeah. The entire year, and they're in the playoffs still.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, we got Joe Flacco. Like, we're good to go." It's insane. They convinced Joe Flacco to go to the practice squad and be like, "Yeah, I'm for sure coming back."
Right.
Why,
Crazy.
Joe?
Right.
Like, go somewhere else. Hot potato is a +10 per drop. That's a good league with Johnston for sure.
Yeah, that's fun.
We should do a league like that. Like whoever gets like fumbles are like super plus points, interceptions, super plus, something like that. Okay, wide receivers. Number 1, I have AJ Brown at Seattle. Like I said, I think Jalen Hurts bounces back. I think AJ Brown's a big part of that. I have CeeDee Lamb at 2 at Buffalo. Deebo Samuel 3 at the Cardinals. He's been insane. I have Cooper Kupp 4 versus Washington. He looks all the way healthy. And then I have Stephon Diggs 5 versus Dallas. Luke, what do you think of those 5?
Yeah, you talked about Diggs. I agree with you earlier in the show. You're back on Cup, and it's got to be because of the health, right?
100%. Like he for sure wasn't healthy before. In that one catch that he completely like turned in the air last week, it was just I'm like, okay, he's back.
I'm with you. I like it. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Diggs and he has to get involved for Buffalo to do anything against Dallas. I would hope they force feed the ball. It seems like at long periods of time they don't for whatever reason, but I would assume he finally puts his foot down in this matchup and says, "Get me the damn ball and get out of the way," and he's a top 5 guy.
Yeah, he's the only number 1 receiver in the NFL that his team doesn't call plays for him.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's no design plays to get Stephon Diggs the ball.
Who did they play? Was it the Eagles where they took him off for like every third down?
Yeah, yeah. Bold strategy. I wouldn't do it, but hey, now the Eagles don't know who to cover. Who's the number 1? Crazy stuff. I do have Mike Evans at 6 at Green Bay. You guys talked about him a little bit earlier. Tyreek I have at 9. Ooh. Obviously, he was banged up. For some reason, he came back in last week.
His wife?
Then, I guess. And then he plays the Jets this week. Like, I'm not convinced he actually plays this week. But even if he does, I know he went for 102 and a touchdown last time against them. And I don't think he goes for over 100 if he plays.
Well, to be fair, that 102 and a touchdown was a bad game for him, too.
True. That's true. Yeah, they limited him to 102.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the Jets' defense is balling right now. Like, I don't necessarily know that Tyreek Hill sees a 40-plus yard catch like we've become accustomed to. Maybe not even 30. This will be a game where McDaniel does design get in plays. Feels like more screen plays than those motion goes that he's been running, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he's a solid option, but you can't expect him to get that 25, 30-point game that we're somehow conditioned to seeing.
That's saying you're starting him this week.
Yeah, if he's active, yeah, for sure. Yeah. You can't just not start him. Yeah. It's a similar thing. Like, I have Justin Jefferson at 12. I'm starting him. He says he's going to play. I have to trust it. Mm-hmm. I will say, too, I went back and watched a little bit of Nick Mullins and some former teams and stuff. And he's been good enough to support number 1 receivers. He used to ball with Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, correct.
So, like, I think Jefferson can get over 100 with him.
Agreed.
So, yeah. DeAndre Hopkins revenge week. I am at 16. That's one of those situations where I think we have to make note of it. Like, it's not just a bullshit, revenge week, whatever funny narrative. Like, I think he wants to beat the shit out of the Texans.
Yeah, they traded him for fucking David Johnson.
Yeah. Has he played them before?
I wish I could tell you.
I don't think so with Arizona.
I feel like he did once. Any receivers you guys want to talk about while I look this up quick?
No, like, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier in the show. Like, I think it'll be a fun Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase kind of friendly rivalry game here. I think they both can easily go for 100 and a touchdown this week.
He did play them in 2021. Must have been one of his first games with Arizona. 7 catches, 53 yards, touchdown. Nothing crazy. But, yeah, I'm expecting more. The Texans put up 5 points in that game. That's an interesting number.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I got a question for you guys.
But okay, go ahead.
Cross-platform or not, cross-position one. Half PPR, Devontae Adams or Travis Kelce against New England? Because neither have really gotten to their expectations, and it's probably neither their faults, if we're being honest.
For sure.
Does whoever the Raiders start at quarterback influence this decision at all?
Yeah. If they go Hoyer, I think I'd go Devontae.
I think if they go Jimmy, I'd go Devontae as well.
Is Jimmy in the cards? I honestly don't even know what they're thinking.
I read that on Twitter this morning.
If it's Jimmy, I'd go Devontae for sure. If it's still Aiden O'Connell, I'm probably going to go Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
So as long as it's not Aiden O'Connell, go Devontae.
Yeah, I think so. I'm done with him. He sucks. Interesting game. Davis Mills. I kind of already forgot he was the quarterback for the Texans. In that game,
former number 1 recruit, Davis Mills.
Yeah, true. David Johnson shut up the Cardinals in that game, though. 52 total yards, 27 through the air. Not too bad.
It's a classic David Johnson game.
It is. And I'm still a believer if he wants to come back somewhere. I think he got picked up by the Saints earlier this year, or maybe it was last year.
It was last year.
Last year. And I picked him up.
Yeah.
Never know. Never know.
He was a pretty good kick returner back in the day, too.
He was a great player for like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Great. And then he got hurt. He like hurt his wrist. Yeah. And he was done.
He just forgot how to run.
I guess. I don't know. Other players, Zay Flowers, 26. I like him. Deontay Johnson starting to score touchdowns. I'm at 31. I know. Adam Thielen, I have at 37, and I don't feel great about that.
Like you said, you're done on Zach Moss. I don't want to say I'm done on Adam Thielen, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, him.
I am. I'm done.
Directly under him is Chris Godwin. Both of them.
Yeah, same player.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Does the elevated Ridley target share continue? Possibly. I mean, obviously Kirk out,
right,
which has helped. Okay, I'm blanking. They play Baltimore
Sunday night.
That's going to be tough. Like, he's going to be the number 1 on the outside, so they'll probably take him away pretty well.
Yeah, Ravens have been pretty good against deep threats this year, too. And that kind of feels like what Ridley's niche has been this year.
For sure. They've done a decent job at using him a little more underneath since the Kirk injury. But,
I mean, we talked, Zach, I forget when you were on some Monday or something, and someone brought up Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram wasn't used, and now he's used.
For sure. He's been the biggest benefactor of the injury, without a doubt. Like, I was nervous about him with Zay Jones coming back, and then the injury happened, so that's good. But yeah, so if I'm picking targets to own in that game, I think it's probably Ingram, and then maybe Ridley after that. But yeah, I don't love him this week. I think he'll be okay. I have him at 28. So that's where my confidence is. Anybody else to talk about?
No, I don't.
I think George Pickens can bounce back this week. People are completely writing him off. I think he could have a good week.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So let's just talk in general, maybe not about receiver, but with Keenan Allen being out, is there a bump to anyone? Do you even care about anyone on the Chargers this week?
I think it's a bump to Eckler. And then I would bump whoever operates as that number 2, probably going to be Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
Him or Guyton. I think one of the two played well. I need to watch more Easton Stick to figure out what he's going to do, though. Like, I need to see if he is under pressure and panics a little bit. Does he just check it down? Or does he look deep still? That's the biggest difference, because that's going to be the difference between Eckler and Everett or Guyton and Josh Palmer.
Fair. In my mind, there's no reason that Max Duggan is not playing in this game.
Agreed.
He'd be more fun.
He would be. Definitely. Stu remembers David Johnson scored in his first Texans game, had like 20 points. That's true. We're like, see? Bill O'Brien knew what he was doing. Yeah. Maybe that's first Texans game. It was close. Yeah. It might have been the first one.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. Like, did the Texans actually win this trade? And was like, what do you mean? They give up DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, fleeced him.
Yeah.
He knew. Okay, so compared to the consensus, I'm 4 higher on Stephon Diggs at 5. This will change, but I'm 19 higher on Justin Jefferson at 12. 4 higher on Jackson Smith and Jigba at 36. I think they have to chase points. 4 higher on George Pickens at 43. 4 higher on Demario Douglas at 47. I think he comes back this week. I'm currently 6 higher on Quentin Johnston at 52, which isn't optimistic, but whatever. I'm 4 lower on Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8. He hasn't really been himself. Not his fault, just saying.
Yep.
I'm 6 lower on Tyreek Hill at 9. Consensus has him at 3.
Makes sense.
I'm 5 lower on Devontae Adams at 21. 4 lower on Drake London at 33, 7 lower on Marquise Brown at 44, 4 lower on Josh Downs at 46, and 4 lower on Jerry Jeudy at 53. Fuck Jerry Jeudy.
Yep. Always and forever.
Steve Smith Jr. or Senior rather needs to walk back his apology. Like I know he didn't mean it, but he needs to reiterate what he said earlier.
Yeah,
because it was all true.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Steve Smith's ever meant an apology in his life.
No,
yeah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He was a hot commodity for a minute, but you had mentioned it's kind of like turned into the Michael Pittman show. I don't think Josh Downs needs to be started or even like really thought about started anymore.
No, he's certainly not a must start. Will he have another big game or a decent game before the end of the year? Probably. But I think he got a little bit banged up and he just hasn't really looked the same since. So
yep.
No need. Zach Moss is taking him down with him essentially. Okay, tight ends. I have Travis Kelce at 1 still at the Patriots. We'll see. I have Sam Laporta at 2 versus Denver. They've struggled against tight ends. George Kittle 3 at the Cardinals. TJ Hawkinson 4 at the Bengals. They've struggled against tight ends. Evan Ingram 5 versus Baltimore. David Njoku 6 versus the Bears. Trey McBride 7 versus the Niners. Isaiah Likely 8 versus the Jags. And I don't feel good about anybody else. So that's why I wanted to read them all off.
I'm happy you said that because I spent my last 5 fab bucks in guillotine on Evan Ingram to play over Jake Ferguson this week.
Yeah, I think that's good. Jake Ferguson could be good. Like, he kind of is touchdown dependent at this point.
Right. Yep. Agreed.
Trevor, what do you think of those tight ends? Is there another name I didn't mention that you feel pretty good about?
I feel like we're not talking. I think it was overshadowed by Njoku. We're not talking about Evan Ingram has looked a lot better lately. I mean, he's just been consistent. Now he's getting a higher target share. This is weird, having this many tight ends that I trust. I mean, granted, Evan Ingram, I don't trust him to be like a top 3 guy, but it's a weird, like no other week but the playoffs. Can you look at, some of these guys and go, this is a rough one. And then you look at tight ends, you're like, whew, there are some good guys in the waiver wires. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, I like Ingram. I like Njoku as well. Clearly Flacco likes him. And I mean, outside of him, I don't think you trust anybody, but that's 8 guys. That's 9 guys right there.
Yeah. To play devil's advocate for Njoku, and I like Njoku this week, the dude was running butt naked wide open all week last week.
He was, but also the past 3-4 games or so, he's just running through people.
Yeah. Fair.
Like he's been kind of crazy ever since he burned his face.
Yeah, I was just about to say, ever since he realized fire can't hurt him, he is trucking motherfuckers.
Kinda. But yeah, a lot of good tight ends. It's kind of a product of a lot of wide receivers not playing that great, a lot of backup quarterbacks in the league right now. So they're relying on those easy targets more than ever. Like maybe I should do a deeper dive into this after the season. I feel like more than ever, tight ends have a larger target share than ever before.
Agreed.
And I think that's all we've been asking for in terms of a fantasy tight end to start.
To Stu's point, he said F the Ridley share, it's Evan Ingram season. Evan Ingram gives off Jordan Reed vibes, doesn't he?
I hope not.
Right.
He gets hurt less.
Yeah. I mean, he plays like a healthy Jordan Reed.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like it feels like some nuclear disaster is going to happen to Evan Ingram soon.
Maybe. Yeah. I hope not. I mean,
you heard it here first. Evan Ingram's tearing the shit out of his knee this week.
It's insane though, because like 2 years ago, with the Giants, we said it when he first went to the Jaguars. It's like all we know about Evan Ingram is that he cannot be trusted. Whether he gets hurt, whether he's dropping the ball, whether he just doesn't know what a route even is. It was insane. And now it's like, yeah, must start. So to your point, now that everyone is finally fully on board,
it feels like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be the most group. He's gonna what was his name? Kevin Knox, the one who broke his back. It's gonna be something like that.
Well, he's gonna be
not Kevin Ware.
He's gonna Zach Miller his fucking shit. Remember his knee injury with the Bears?
Yeah.
He almost lost his leg.
Johnny Knox. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
from the
Johnny
Bears
Knox.
as well.
Kevin Knox. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Kevin Knox was on the Knicks.
Yeah.
Not good.
He also a disaster in different ways. Yeah.
It's crazy that Johnny Knox had a much worse injury than Johnny Knoxville's ever had.
True. That is true. Arguable, actually, maybe.
I don't know. Hasn't Johnny Knoxville had his ball sack ripped open?
No, he tore his urethra.
That's worse than Johnny Knox.
He broke his dick too. That was a separate thing.
Yeah, he also had that thing where he kept sneezing and his eyeball kept popping out.
Yeah.
But Johnny Knox had a worse injury.
I don't know, man. Broken back?
Yeah, he was folded.
Right.
He had not good. Not good. Jared, pick a tight end, PPR, Kincaid, Pitts, Otten, or Hudson. I'm going Kincaid.
Yeah, probably, right. I don't love any of them, to be honest. Speaking of good to see in the end zone, good to see Kyle Pitts in the end zone. But, I don't love any of them, to be honest. So Kincaid is probably the best out of the bunch.
It was a good wide receiver matchup for the Falcons last week. That's why Pitts did all right.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just had Kincaid's stats up because I was going to say, in the return of Dawson Knox, Kincaid had 8 targets, which is good to see.
Yeah.
So, 5 for 21, flew under the radar. Obviously, not a great fantasy day, but if he gets another 8 targets or even 6 targets against the Cowboys, I think, he's going to be okay.
Kincaid can run laps around Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah. Or is Vander Esch hurt?
Probably.
He might be hurt. True. Great point. Logan Thomas, I think if you're in a deep league, I think he's an under the radar guy who could be very good this week. Playing the Rams, talked about Sam Howell. That's why. Pretty simple. Tucker Kraft has been, getting his share of targets. He's been okay. Gerald Everett, I said earlier. We'll see. I'll do more research on Easton Stick tonight. And I'll adjust Everett accordingly, but there's a chance he just turns into a target hog. I was going to say both of them together. Next week or tomorrow. Same thing. Yep. Just depends on what your mood you're in, I guess. Juwan Johnson, not a thing.
Yeah, fuck Taysom Hill. Fuck Jimmy Graham.
Fuck Juwan Johnson.
Whoa, that's a new development for you, though.
No, it's not. It's an emotional reaction.
Yeah, you don't mean that. I know you don't. Yeah, I thought you dropped that in the chat on Sunday or whatever. I was surprised because I'm like, I thought Jimmy Graham catching touchdowns, he would be floored.
Yeah, it was an emotional decision. Emotional outburst.
So with that being said, I think the move is to bet Jimmy Graham anytime touchdown, but you have to chase it with a Juwan Johnson anytime touchdown because you don't want to get completely fucked.
That bitch Taysom Hill's catching a touchdown this week.
Maybe.
You know what somebody should do? Not me, because I don't want to lose the money. Parlay with anytime touchdown with all 3 Saints tight ends. That would have to be the highest parlay odds of all time for a 3-legger.
It's probably the best tight end threesome to bet in anytime touchdown parlay on, right?
Yeah, well, best in terms of best likelihood to hit?
Yeah.
I was going to say odds-wise, you can figure it out. But yeah, otherwise, the other one, maybe Patriots rival it. Probably not, though.
Hey, shout out Malik Cunningham. Finally got out of hell there.
To the most obvious situation
of
all time. He's a Raven. Crazy. Now, Lamar could get hurt. Just put him in. Don't tell anybody. Just let him wear a Lamar jersey. It'll be fine.
Well, they already do that with Tyler Huntley.
Basically. Yeah, they got 3. Poor Trace McSorley. He was the odd man out.
No, not poor Trace McSorley. Fuck him. He drove a stake through the Badgers' heart, and I haven't forgotten it yet.
Well, you can say that about any Big Ten quarterback of the last 20 years.
That's fair.
True. I haven't forgiven fucking Kirk Cousins for his Michigan State bullshit.
Right.
Horrible Hail Mary. I hate that. Jared, what DST do you like? Raiders, Colts, Bears, or Pitt? Let me look to see who I have highest. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I don't love the Bears. I don't love. Raiders have who this week?
Chargers tomorrow.
I don't love that, to be honest. I think Eckler can get going. Colts have
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh has Colts. I have the Colts highest at 7.
Yeah, I like the Colts more than I like Pittsburgh.
They're my top two.
Yep.
Out of the bunch. Yeah, I mean, we'll see which Trubisky shows up, I guess. Like,
I'm guessing not the good one.
I mean, I don't know. Like he's looked okay at times, but not last week.
That one where it was like 4th and 2 and he just launched that shit downfield. I saw the Twitter meme of Jarrett Jacks, like when he tried to hit that 3/4 court and just launch in the stand. That's an all-time video.
We need to stop. I don't care what anybody says. We need to stop with the 4th and 2 chucking it downfield bullshit. Get the fucking yards, guys.
Truly, the only reason to do that, it's such a bitch move. You're looking for a flag. That's it. You're not trying to complete that shit. You're looking for a flag. And it's worse when you have fucking who it was it Allen Robinson wide ass open in the middle? I can't remember. Yeah, because I thought I was gonna fucking lose. Yep. And then he went on the bullshit at the end. Like, come on. Like, he could have got 20 just dumping it down to him. Stupid. Okay. I mean, compared to the consensus, I guess we can do this. I have Chig Okonkwo at 13. That's 5 higher. He's actually come on. He's getting targets right now.
Yeah, I agree he's come on, and I agree I like him this week. I want everyone who said that Chig Okonkwo is going to be a top 5 tight end in the offseason to show their face.
Yeah. Yep. They've gone weirdly quiet, huh?
Yep.
The whole time we're like, I don't get it.
Right.
we're just like, it's one of those takes where we truly were like, I just don't understand.
It's like a very popular take, too.
He was the biggest sleeper this year.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Super weird. I'm 10 higher on Tyler Higbee at 28.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm higher on Dalton Schultz. Sounds like Dalton Schultz is going to play this week, by the way. 8 lower on Taysom Hill. I kind of ranked him as if he wasn't going to play. 5 lower on Donald Parham at 35. That's maybe that's the touchdown parlay. We go Parham, Everett, and then whoever the third guy is. Is it still McKitty or somebody like that?
Maybe.
Like, maybe that's the move. I don't know. It does kind of feel like a Donald Parham touchdown game tomorrow, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
Stoof had Chig top 8. I will say, I saw him a lot higher on some other people's boards, though. Yep. So even if you're joking, there's people who had him pretty high. It was, yeah, I don't get it. Whatever.
I have a start-sit question here.
Great.
For me personally, it's about receivers. Should I be like scared? Oh wait, never mind. I'm sorry.
You want to ask it for content?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Nico Collins or Tyler Lockett, but I forgot that for whatever reason, I thought the Texans played the Jets again this week. So never mind.
Well, Nico may not play.
Well, of course, if he plays, I'm starting Nico Collins.
That's fair.
I was under the impression both were playing.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an update. At the beginning of this week, my gut call was that he would not play this week. I think there's a chance he's out multiple weeks, to be honest. Didn't practice today.
Okay.
I don't think he plays.
Well, then talk this out with me. Would you pick up anyone over Tyler Lockett? So on waivers right now is Demario Douglas, Zay Jones, Rashid Shaheed, Curtis Samuel, Jonathan Mingo, Elijah Moore. Would you want any of those guys over Tyler Lockett?
No.
Right. It just feels too risky.
Yeah. I do think Seattle passes a lot, so theoretically he should be good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has a good game. I do. The other I don't hate Demario Douglas, but I do think I would still go Lockett.
It feels really risky starting Demario Douglas as my wide receiver 2 in a fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. It does sort of feel like the Lockett time of year. He's going to show up. It's Monday night. I feel like Monday night. I mean, it's always Russell Wilson who always cooked on Monday night, I guess. But
and
he's had a lot of big games.
Like we said before, Philadelphia's been horrible against the pass.
Yeah. And, I mean, no Geno last week, but 6 catches, 89 yards out of him.
Yeah.
That's respectable. He doesn't have a 100-yard game yet this year.
Yeah, he's been quiet.
I mean, he's got 2 90-yard games, a few 80-yard games, but weird. Stu thought Chig was really athletic, would have a lot of targets because Tannehill's not so good. Fair. That's very fair. And I think he can become that. It's just he hasn't been that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people cited that stuff totally makes sense. People talked about how he ended the year last year. And I'm like, okay, I watched the games. What did he do?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
No.
I think that was a product of anyone looking for any reason to get any other tight end besides Travis Kelce.
True. I also do think two things. I think the offense would be better with Tannehill. Agreed. And I think Chig would be better with Tannehill right now as well.
Agreed.
And he should have been better to this point. The last few weeks has been sort of what he should have been all year long, especially with no other receiver really other than DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we talked it out. Didn't really like him that much as a player, and the tight end needed to block for Tennessee.
Always.
Their offensive line's so bad, so they needed him to block. And if he's not the best blocker, he's not on the field. Simple as that. Anything else before we end this and start Lombardi?
Yeah, I got something. My dad wanted me to tell you guys both met my dad. He likes when we talk about food. He said he wanted me to mention blueberry pancakes.
Ooh, I like them.
Yeah, incredible food.
Yeah, underrated.
Yeah.
Is that the best pancake addition?
I mean, I'm a chocolate chip guy, but blueberry pancakes are awesome.
That's fair.
It's the best fruit, I would say.
You hate bananas, right?
Yes. Well, yes. Yes. Yes.
Is this like I'm nervous what this is going to be.
No. I'm saying yes. I do. I don't like bananas. I'm not going to say I hate them. I don't like them.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, I hate bananas, love banana bread. Is that your situation or no?
I don't know that I've ever had banana bread, to be honest.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you hate the taste or the texture of bananas more?
Both.
Because fair, I guess. I understand.
Either or question, and you answered neither.
I mean, fine. I understand hating the texture of bananas. They're like slimy and weird.
Yeah, what I like about bananas is how they grow. Like, I think banana trees are awesome.
Okay, so if you can respect the process, then maybe try banana bread.
Yeah, I'll say I'm open to bananas. Like, they're not on my list.
Oh, you're open to bananas, huh? I have a food take here. I think Texas toast is a top 5 all-time food.
Ooh.
I'm always happy when it's there.
Yeah. It's not something.
There's never a time when you're like, no Texas toast, please.
Texas toast is great with burgers.
Yes, I also love like DQ does that. You get chicken strips or whatever, and you get a slice of toast on the side. Banger. It's always or you go to a barbecue place and you get a slice of toast with it.
Yeah,
great.
Like, I can do about that. I get it.
Would you rather have Texas toast over like the best version of a breadstick you can think of?
No, I'd rather the breadstick.
Same.
I think it's close for me. The breadstick, I feel like the window for the breadstick is short.
It's tough when they get hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's also what she said. But the Texas toast with the burger is incredible because of the crunch.
True. I mean, that's why you got to get a toasted bun. I mean, same thing.
Fair.
I mean, would you rather have? I mean, if it's just Texas toast instead of the bun, is it a patty melt?
I think it is. It is.
Okay. That's something I never order, but it's like
every time you eat it,
I don't. Well, yeah, it's just a burger. Burgers are great.
Every time it's on the menu, though, you consider it.
For sure. Like I've had maybe just once. I've had Culver's patty melt. It's great.
Yep.
I think I would prefer it to their butter burger, which I don't really like that much.
Agreed with you, Zach. They get a bar around here. It's grilled cheese patty melt.
Ooh, that's a lot, but I'm sure it's great.
There's also a bar that has inside out grilled cheese, which are awesome.
Oh, okay. So it's like crispy on the outside?
They melt the cheese on the outside.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a burger in Mindoro, Wisconsin. That's in Ripley's Believe It or Not, which scared the hell out of me when the sentence started with that. It's got, I think, 107 different kinds of burgers.
Ooh.
Yeah. And gotta tell you, a lot of them not very creative.
Well, of course.
And a lot of them doesn't need to be. Like there's one with sardines.
Yeah, of course.
Don't eat it.
It's just
anybody can have 108 kinds if they just have a hamburger with lettuce, a hamburger with tomato, hamburger with lettuce and tomato.
And there's a build your own option, and that pissed me off. Like, fuck you. You got 107. If you haven't figured it out, don't ask me.
Correct.
Like, I'm not going to do the work for you.
It's not my job to ask what I want on a sandwich. It's your job to tell me what I want.
Yeah, and if you haven't gotten it right after 107, 108 times, sorry.
Yep.
Like, it's dumb. So stupid. Stoof zoned out. That's the best way to listen to the show, by the way. I came back to Patty Melt.
Melt.
Yeah. Basically a burger, but it's cooked like a grilled cheese, like it's toasted like that, essentially. Is that a Midwestern thing?
It must be.
Can't be, because I think Whataburger has them.
Do they? I've never had Whataburger.
Whataburger, incredible. Stu's from Iowa. He would know that if it was a Midwest thing.
Is he for sure from Iowa?
Isn't that what he told us? Or was that Randy?
I thought he was from Nebraska.
Well, that's still Midwest.
I like the thought that he's told us different states. That might be true.
I thought he was Colorado. Because didn't he say something about Jerry Judy's brother earlier this show?
Yeah. Does he know Jerry Judy's brother?
Yeah, he said that. Allegedly, I don't know.
You guys heard the charged lemonade from Panera? It's like killing people.
Yeah, dude. It's got like 250 milligrams of caffeine. That's so funny.
So as soon as I read that story, I went and ordered one.
Is it good?
It might be the best lemonade I've ever had.
Honestly, the best publicity they have ever could have gotten.
Correct. I'm like addicted to it now.
I've been to Panera once, hated it, but now I do want to go for that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We need to let natural selection come back. Like, it's not a problem if your lemonade is too much caffeine. It's the problem of the idiots who have heart problems and drink that lemonade. That's their fault.
I don't mean to laugh here, but the guy who died drinking it had a heart problem and drank 3 larges. And like one of their larges is equivalent to like 4 cups of coffee.
More than that, because like the girl who was like saying the story or whatever, she's like, I've been working in a Panera and drinking 4 of these per day.
Right.
That's like, because each one is like 2 or 3 coffees, like a large one. She's been drinking 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah, that's some Dan Campbell shit.
That's Zach Bruner in college shit. That was like on the brink of death, me brewing coffee with caffeinated water shit.
Yeah, that's like how many vodka Red Bulls I drink when I go to the bar.
Past 3 days, by the way, before today, I had no caffeine. Today I had some caffeine.
You're off the wall.
So, I mean, I see colors again. Like just a brighter, I'm in a more cheery mood. Yeah. I'm sure I was pissy past few days. Hasn't been great.
I haven't had caffeine in like a month. So every time I get a caffeine, it just...
So Steve lied about being from Iowa. Great. Well, great bit.
To be fair, who actually would admit they're from Iowa?
Great point. Fair. Yeah.
What is the next state you want to lie about being from?
Nebraska.
This one dude drinks 7 charts. I mean, this is the part of the story that pisses me off, I think. People, one, because people are whining about, like, oh, I can't handle caffeine. Fucking grow up.
Right.
2, what did they think charged lemonade meant? Like, oh, it's just super lemony.
It's fucking tasty, man.
Yeah, also, drinking 7 of anything is bad for you.
Right. Like drinking 7 bottles of water is bad.
Well, that also has to have like 80 grams of sugar in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be horrible.
Yeah.
I really want to charge lemonade now.
I recommend it.
For sure. For sure.
They're awesome.
I'm telling you, they should have killed somebody years ago.
Yeah.
This is the best thing.
They're on like the old school Four Loko shit.
I'm not sure if they still have it. I know when I lived in Eau Claire, they advertised like a drink membership, and you could buy it and just go there and get free drinks all the time.
They still do that.
So that's what you got to. That's the thing. That's what you got to do with these lemonades, I guess.
Yep.
Oh God, Stu, if you're not Canadian, no, don't admit to that either.
Back to my Panera thing for a second. They have like the self-serve cashiers, and I was behind. Really? Yeah, I was behind like a couple that were maybe 85 years old, and it took them 20 minutes to order 2 sandwiches and a drink. I'm like, how are you people alive? Like, how do you function in the world?
You know what else we got to get rid of? Any self-serving checkout that asks you for a tip.
Yeah.
Well,
Down with the entire company.
Well, yes, but like that tip goes to like the people who make the food.
I don't know that though.
Yeah.
It does.
It doesn't though. Let me tell you this. I worked at Cousins for like 8 years. The first 5 years, our owners just told us you cannot accept tips. That was just incredibly false. So I would not put it past any other company to actually give out tips.
Well, there's also like stories all the time of owners just pocketing the tips.
Sure.
Like,
There was actually a story of a place in Pewaukee that pocketed like $40,000 worth of tips over years.
Eau Claire too.
Like
that just came out like last year.
Like the fucking guy from the Jaguars.
Yeah.
He was betting it though. Good for him.
Can you imagine getting into a $3,000 buy-in and then just not submitting a lineup?
Yeah. I mean, I wish I was in that position. That'd be great. Jerry and Ridley used to play together street ball actually in Canada.
So Flo.
I don't know if we can believe anything he says anymore.
I believe you. I'll believe him. Whatever he says. I don't believe Stoops ever lied to us. I think he did live in Iowa at some point.
I was going to say less than 3 minutes ago, he admitted to lying to us.
Plot twist, it's actually Stephen Ridley.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, we're going to end this. If you guys have any other fantasy questions, definitely drop them under this video or go to Fantasy Football by Committee. I will also say, and we've done this pitch a lot, but this is the best time, truthfully, to sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Go to underdogfantasy.com or scan the QR code right here. Use promo code Flurry to get a free $100 deposit match. The promos that we have up right now on Underdog are insane. Claim Josh Allen over 1.5 yards. Easy. Trevor Lawrence over 1.5 yards.
Easy.
Colby Covington over half of a significant strike.
Easy.
This Saturday. Yeah, I mean, it's all just free money. So
that's
claim free money. Yeah, claim free money by using the promo code Flurry, get a $100 deposit match, and then go play Pick'em over there. You can get a bunch of free money this weekend. And once Christmas comes around next week or 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a bunch of promos then as well. So definitely go and do that. And then there's also the draft feature as well. There's more than just Pick'em, there's drafts. So
if you're out of fantasy playoffs.
If you're out of fantasy playoffs, you can do best ball NFL playoff drafts right now as well. So you'll be able to win a bunch of money there. Live drafts with other real people. The best day of the fantasy season is draft day. You can have draft day every single week, every single day, truthfully, because you can do live drafts for NHL, NBA, and a bunch of other sports. And truthfully, if you know hockey whatsoever and you're watching this, you will clean up.
Yep.
You will absolutely clean up on a site like this. So definitely go and take advantage of everything Underdog has to offer right now. And we will be back in a few minutes to talk about the Packers and their crushing loss to the Giants.